Imagine if you could be frozen for 100 years and wake up in the future. A future with flying cars, space travel, and cures for every disease. Sounds like science fiction, right? But what if I told you scientists are already working on a way to cheat time? Cryonics. It's a process of freezing the human body with the hope of bringing it back to life someday. But the question is, what really happens when you freeze a body for so long? Let's explore this strange and fascinating idea today. Humans have always dreamed of living longer, outsmarting death. But with our limited lifespan, is there any way to cheat time? Thanks to science, the answer might just be yes. Cryonics is a process where dead bodies are frozen in hopes that one day we'll have the technology to bring them back to life. But it's not as simple as freezing and waking up in a few centuries. Can we really freeze a human today and revive them decades or even centuries later? Today, we're diving into the science of cryonics, the possibilities and the terrifying realities that come with freezing a person. So, how did the idea of freezing humans even come about? The inspiration came from nature, hibernating animals like squirrels and frogs. When it gets cold, these animals slow their metabolism and effectively freeze themselves. For example, the Arctic ground squirrel can drop its body temperature to as low as -4 degrees Celsius, and when spring arrives, they wake up like nothing ever happened. Even more fascinating are wood frogs, which completely freeze during the winter. No heartbeat, no breathing. Yet when the cold passes, they come back to life as if by magic. But the question is, if frogs can do it, can humans? This is where things get complicated. The human body isn't built for freezing. The biggest problem lies in our blood. When the body is frozen, the blood thickens and eventually forms ice crystals. And when those crystals form inside our veins, they damage the blood vessels. Now, imagine trying to thaw the body after that. These ice crystals would create tiny cuts in the blood vessels, causing internal bleeding. The brain would also suffer severe damage, leading to brain death. So, freezing a human body isn't as simple as sticking it in a freezer and hoping for the best. That's where cryonics comes in. Scientists developed this advanced freezing technique, where bodies are frozen at ultra-low temperatures using liquid nitrogen, around -196 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, cells and tissues are preserved without forming damaging ice crystals. The most famous case of cryonics is James Bedford, the first person to be cryonically preserved in 1967. His body is still frozen today in liquid nitrogen, waiting for a future where he might be revived. But here's the catch. No human has ever been successfully unfrozen and brought back to life yet. But the real challenge is, even with advanced cryonics, there's no solid evidence that it works. When you start thawing a body, the damage is inevitable. Blood vessels tear, organs fail, and the brain suffers irreversible damage. So far, experiments have only been successful on small animals like frogs and insects. But larger bodies, humans for instance, have not yet survived the process. And it raises another question. Even if we could revive a frozen body, would the brain and personality still be intact? So, will cryonics work in the future? Right now, it's just speculation. Some scientists are optimistic that future technology will be able to prevent cell damage during freezing. By using cryoprotectants, fluids in the body are replaced with special solutions that don't form ice crystals. But there's another big problem. Let's say we can successfully revive a human after 100 years. What about their memories, their personality? Would they still be the same person? And even if they are revived, Imagine waking up in a completely unfamiliar world. That would be another challenge in itself. Cryonics is still a controversial and speculative topic. Some people believe it could work in the future, while others see it as a fantasy. But one thing's for sure, if we bury our dead, there's no chance of bringing them back. At least with cryonics, there's a possibility, however small. So, what do you think? Would you choose to be frozen for a shot at future life? Or do you think this is all just science fiction? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on more fascinating content.